Tom Tom, the cat with 10 lives. Chapter 1. The Long Journey Home. It was a cold, dark night as Marmaduke the cat made the long, slow and painful journey back to his village home. It wasn't really a home. There was no loving lady to console and comfort him, or to feed him, no one to dress his wounds. Home was just a series of old discarded furniture and mattresses that had been dumped in an abandoned old barn by a wandering band of gypsies a couple of years earlier. Still, it was dry and sheltered from the bitter east wind that had seemingly been blowing forever. He wondered if he could even make it to the barn, let alone climb onto the tatty old sofa that was tucked away in a dusty corner. This was his bed, and being sheltered from the elements was warm and cozy. Somewhere to either help him weather his wounds or simply allow him to die with a degree of comfortable dignity. Each painful step reminded him of the victor, Tom Tom, and of how the entourage of females flocked to his side, a gaggle of groupies, each one vying to be his partner for the night. He almost smiled, but it was too painful for his badly torn face to endure, as he remembered the night that the two sisters from the next village had taunted and tempted him into the nearest dark alleyway, the last time that he had successfully defended his title. He had seen them disappear under similar circumstances this very night with Tom Tom. Oh, the fickle loyalty of the female, he thought. If you want loyalty, get a dog, he said out loud. Why? He asked himself, as every painful step now reminded him of his foolishness. Why had he ignored the advice given to him by countless friends? Even Stanley the Rottweiler had warned him. He may only be a cat, Marmaduke, but Tom Tom is the top dog around these parts. The giant black and tan hound shook his head and slowly closed his eyes as he spoke, the embarrassing memories flooding back as if to haunt him. I once had the misfortune of crossing paths with him and was lucky to escape with my life. You were just trying to scare me, Marmaduke had retorted mockingly. Everyone knows the story. You froze and he beat you fair and square. It's the eyes, Marmaduke. There is just something about the eyes that completely immobilize you. I barely had time to raise a paw before he was on my back eating my ear. Ah, I see. Marmaduke laughed out loud as he spoke. So that is why one of your ears points down and the other one points up. That was the fault of the vet, you horrible feline creature. It was he who sewed it back on at an angle. Anyway, who are you to criticize my looks? Look in the mirror. You have more scars than you have face. You have probably already used up 8 of your 9 lives, and for sure Tony Tom will take the last one. Balderdash? Marmaduke was clearly annoyed. I have never been beaten, and have ruled this village for the last 5 years, and I have held the title of area champion for almost 3. They say that Tom Tom has 10 lives, not 9, not even the village dogs go near him. Stanley smiled. Nor has he got any scars. That is why the local girls adore him. He can have any girl that he wants, and certainly takes advantage of the situation. Tom Tom was indeed a handsome cat. The female feline population of nearby villages would travel miles most evenings simply to be in his company. This was why Marmaduke just had to challenge him, for he himself had once enjoyed such favours in his younger days, and the thought that a younger, more handsome contender was now stealing the limelight was simply unthinkable. Marmaduke could now see the lights of his village as he rounded a bend in the road. He was tired, he was hungry, and he was in pain, but to pause now would surely see him freeze to death, for as Stanley had said, he had already used up 8 of his 9 lives. The temperature was well below 0, and the bitter east wind bit savagely into his wounds. Why? He again asked himself. Why didn't I listen to Stanley? As he wearily and painfully trudged on, he prayed that Nurse Jenny would have heard of his plight by morning, and as always would curse his prize-fighting exploits as she expertly tended his wounds. Chapter 2. My Poor Tom Tom. Susanna, the beautiful young blonde owner of Postlethwaite Manor House, glided serenely down the ornate stairway, speaking to herself as she glanced approvingly at her reflection in the hallway mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, Who is the fairest of them all? This had been her morning ritual for the last 3 years, ever since her wealthy Aunt Maud had died and left her both the house with its vast grounds and fabulous riches in the bank. "Only you, my darling Susanna," Tom Tom purred from the warmth of the comfortable custom-made cat basket that had been his sleeping quarters for the past 3 years as she entered the kitchen and switched on the kettle to make herself a cup of tea. As always, whilst waiting for the kettle to boil, she slowly looked around the vast old-fashioned kitchen, admiring her great-aunt's taste. Nothing really stood out as extravagant. Nevertheless, nothing could really be improved by simply updating. The old wood-burning AGA cooker was the centerpiece, around which the worn concrete flagged floor and nicotine-colored wall tiles wrapped around in a perfect embrace. The electric kettle was perhaps a little out of place and had been bought by Susanna within a couple of days of moving in. The kitchen knives, however, were a collector's item, each one individually crafted with what was certainly an ivory handle, all 5 knives nicely slotting into a carved rosewood stand. It had been 2 in the morning when Tom Tom had pushed his way through the cat flap of the palatial country mansion before settling down to a fine meal of fresh tuna fish and a bowl of delicious cream milk. The excitement of the evening had whetted his appetite, yet deep inside he was experiencing a void, an unusual emptiness in the pit of his stomach that food alone could not satisfy. "Is this the best that life has to offer?" he mused. "Surely there must be more to life than eating, fighting, and dining on a never-ending supply of females." He closed his eyes and visualized the hero-worshipping feline attention of the previous evening. The contest between Marmaduke and himself had long been arranged, and the spectacle of dozens of cats from all the neighbouring villages quietly sneaking into the village during the twilight hours had gone unnoticed. As for all Tom Tom events, the majority of the crowd were female. Tom Tom was a hero, an icon, a superstar, and to spend an evening in his company was the dream of every female cat for miles around. He had gorged himself that evening. Adrenaline had been surging through his body as the contest had begun, and the overwhelming victory had ensured that enough energy remained to be expended on his adoring female fans. The 2 sisters had been a worthy prize for an evening's work well done. He had been trying to prize them away from Marmaduke for ages, but their eyes were only ever focused on the kudos that came with dating the area champion. He, Tom Tom, was now that area champion, and from now on he would have any feline company that tickled his fancy, and woe betide any tomcat that thought otherwise and got in his way. "My darling Tom Tom, what is that on your face? Is it blood?" Susanna's voice was concerned. Susanna adored Tom Tom, and Tom Tom adored Susanna, especially the food that she gave him. Nothing was too good for him. Fresh fish was delivered daily, together with a pint of full cream milk. He purred lovingly as Susanna gently lifted him out of his basket and stroked him carefully while looking for any scratches or wounds. There were none, of course. There never were. The speckles of blood were not his. They belonged to Marmaduke. Yet another scar was destined to appear on his battle-scared face as soon as the wounds inflicted by Tom Tom healed. Personally, he bore no battle scars. His size, strength, and supercat agility rendered all comers little more than playthings, especially once they had looked into his eyes. Tom Tom had the most magnificent eyes, mesmerizing when fully opened, yet during combat they narrowed to little more than slits, able to shoot out electrifying pulses of intimidating venom. Susanna gently washed away the flecks of blood before grooming him. Each stroke of the brush ensured a satisfied purr. He knew that this pleased her, and he would do anything for his darling Susanna. Something still wasn't right. He had a perfect home, a beautiful owner who loved him dearly, a never-ending supply of adoring female fans, and looks that could only be described as astonishingly handsome in the cat world. So why was he so unhappy? "I think I might kill myself." The thought entered his head as Susanna lovingly stroked and caressed him. Yes, that is what I will do. I will kill myself so that my legacy of invincibility lasts forever. But how? It must be done in such a way that is quite painless, and no one else must be harmed. Yes, that is what you must do, Tom Tom. A hidden voice entered his consciousness. You must kill yourself. That is the answer. Tom Tom glanced around as Susanna continued to stroke him. Where did that voice come from, he wondered.